Part 25. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi Y. Chapter 241. Just when Fenyuyu was puzzled, he saw two black figures suddenly emerging from the dense bushes. He subconsciously moved his feet to block Bai Qianchun, and looked at the two figures warily. Who? Bai Qianchun stood behind him and was slightly stunned. After thinking about it for a while, he still didn't move. The two people who couldn't be illuminated by the light were also stunned. The black shadow paused on the spot. The black shadow on the left spoke first. "Sister Chun and brother-in-law, it turns out to be you." I was shocked. Fenyuyu relaxed after hearing the sound. He looked at the two people walking out of the shadow of the bushes with a twitching corner of his mouth. His eyes fell on Ye Yang's head covered with leaves, and he said disgustedly, "Being scared it's your sister and I who are here, okay. We are walking on the path seriously, but why are you two sneaking around in the grass?" Hearing this, Ye Yang showed a guilty expression on his face, rolled his eyes to the side, laughed and said, "It's nothing, I just went to give you a small toy, and he came out of here in the grass." "You say yes, Being." He poked Leng Xiao's arm beside him with his elbow, signaling him to speak quickly. Leng Xiao snorted and was too lazy to pay attention to him. He just patted the branches and leaves on his body. Ye Yang's eyes were filled with sadness. Where was the friend he agreed to get into trouble with and protect him together? Fenyuyu looked at him thoughtfully, her thin lips raised slightly. "Oh, the little toy, is it the little toy you mentioned this afternoon, for the stupid son of the Bai family?" Ye Yang's eyes lit up when he heard the name he called Bai Qianjun. The title silly son was not very friendly. It seemed that his brother-in-law also had opinions on that guy Bai Qianjun, and Ye Yang suddenly felt a lot more at ease. "I am no longer afraid of being caught for doing bad things, and I don't have to worry about my brother-in-law exposing him." Ye Yang nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Yes, it's that silly K. Didn't I say I would give him a few small toys this afternoon? I just took the time to send them over." After thinking that he had finished explaining, he looked towards Bai Qianchun with great interest, and said with bright eyes, "Sister Chun, we agreed to go find the golden needle in the evening, do you want to go now? Go early and come back early. It's been a busy day today. Now, I want to come back and go to bed early." Bai Qianchun nodded. "Go. Uncle Yequan needs acupuncture on his legs tomorrow. Gold needles are more effective than silver needles. It would be great if we could find Qian Kaiang's set of gold needles tonight." After saying that, she turned around and glanced at Fenyuyu to tell him to go back first, then turned around and planned to follow Ye Yang and the others. Seeing that he was about to be left behind, Fenyuyu looked confused and shouted quickly, "What's wrong? Is there anything else?" Bai Qianchun and the others paused, and the three heads turned to look at him with similar curiosity in their eyes. Fenyuyu's handsome face turned red when he saw it, and he coughed quickly, raised his chin slightly, suppressed his gaffe, and asked curiously, "Looking for golden needles? What kind of golden needles are you looking for? You need me to come with you, can you help? There is strength in numbers, and if I help together, we may be able to find things faster. Also, Brother Ye Yang still has to hand over the Sheng family starship to transport fruits and vegetables from Wuyuan Star. Why do you still have free time to find anything?" Ye Yang showed two small tiger teeth. "Oh, the batch of fruits and vegetables was delivered to the Shenjia starship half an hour ago. Mr. Yao's ability is indeed very strong. The contract and other matters were settled on the spot in 5 minutes. So I am free now. As for brother-in-law, if you want to help find golden needles, forget it. That place is not suitable for you, brother-in-law." The Kohlrabi star spirit said that although souls from other worlds could be led by them to enter Dragon Suppression City, the flow of time would speed up. His brother-in-law had such an amazing face. What if he went in one night and came out the next day as an old man with gray hair and a wrinkled face? This is what he would do. Bai Qian-chun also nodded seriously. Well, indeed, that place is not suitable for you to go. You can go play with your friends, or go back to the Star-Lord's mansion to rest. I will come back later in the evening. Then the three of them turned their heads and walked away quickly. Fen Yuyu looked at their figures disappearing into the darkness, her handsome eyebrows furrowed, and she muttered depressedly, as for running so fast, I'm the shameless person who insists on following them. Tisk, Star-Lord, I can go to any house, but there's no place I can't go to. Hey, what are you muttering about here alone? Yao Wengxian's voice suddenly appeared in Fen Yuyu's ears. He was startled, turned his head and frowned at the gentle scum wearing gold-rimmed glasses, and rolled his eyes. Why are you here alone? Where is Lao Lu and Lao Qi? You usually take your time in doing things, why are you so efficient today? Yao Wengxian looked stunned and looked at him with suspicious eyes. You're on a dynamite tonight. You're so irritable with your words. Why do you take so long to do things and you're so quick today? Is it about Ye Yang signing the contract? Isn't that what Sheng Jiaxing is today? The ship is on its last trip, so of course you have to do things quickly, otherwise your wife's fruits and vegetables won't be able to be transported out with today's fresh momentum. Oh, Fen Yuyu responded with a frown, knowing that he was too anxious at the moment. He scratched his hair, and his demonic face, illuminated by the afterglow of the lamp, showed obvious annoyance. This is not right. Feng Xiao usually looks lazy even when the sky is falling. He only changed his expression when he was thrown to the front-line battlefield a few years ago. His whole body has a chilling and cold temperament and he moves closer to the military side. It's been a while, but it's rare to see a face like this now. I'm very irritable and I want to vent, but I don't know why I'm irritable or how to vent. Yao Wengxian rolled his eyes. Were you with the ancient medical lady just now? Fen Yuyu gave him a look of disgust. Aren't you talking nonsense? Tisk, tisk, Yao Wengxian said with a smile on his lips and his mood became cheerful. Only the unstable factor of the ancient medical lady could influence Feng Xiao to this point. But Feng Xiao didn't realize it yet. He didn't object to the ambiguous title your wife just now, but he just subconsciously took her as his real wife. Didn't you notice that Feng Xiao is quite clingy? He gets like this when the ancient medical lady is not around. Just now he didn't understand why he had such irritation on his face, but now he understands. She's not just his wife. I'm upset because I ran away with someone else. Yao Wengxian didn't tell the truth, so he changed the topic. Just now I saw two boys, Ye Yang and Er Bing, sneaking around in the woods and didn't know what they were doing, so I followed him over to have a look. Have you seen them? Lao Lu and Lao Qi also came over at this time and looked at the two of them in surprise. Fen Yuyu glanced at him, then looked at Yao Wengxian sadly with peach blossom eyes, gritted her teeth and said, I saw her, she just kidnapped my wife. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 242. Zhenlong City still appeared in the thick fog, and the city was as quiet as ever. It's just that the three people who came this time are already quite familiar with each other. In a hidden and remote alley, Ye Yang looked at the 2 rows of silent courtyards with open or closed doors under the gray sky in front of him, and turned to look at Bai Qian-chun who was following behind him. Sister Chun, Qian Kaiyang's courtyard should be in this alley. She was accompanied by a flower protector named Wolf Claw. The Wolf Claw customized a mechanism here to decorate their courtyard. Qian Kaiyang, although Kaiyang Na is a woman with good medical skills, she has no medical ethics. There are always some people who have been offended by her who hold a grudge against her and want to kill her. If there wasn't a powerful ancient martial artist beside her, she would have been killed long ago. Dead with no bones left. Wolf Claw came to ask me to buy the device just in case. I was busy with other things at the time. After I finished the device, I asked Lu Wang to deliver it. So I don't know which courtyard her house is in. I only know that it is in one of the small courtyards in the alley. Yes, Bai Qian-chun responded lightly, her dark eyes scanning the 2 rows of houses in the alley. Then let's go to each house one by one. There are not many houses here, there are 18 houses in total. Let's split up. Go find it? Okay, I'll start from the row on the left. Ye Yang didn't waste any time and agreed quickly. Leng Xiao walked to the first house on the right without saying a word, took out the dagger, knocked on the door lock very lightly, then pushed the door open and walked in. Ye Yang chuckled, took out his universal unlocking key and inserted it into the keyhole of the door of the first house on the left. The fine parts clicked softly, and the door lock was opened without any damage. Seeing the 2 figures entering the door one after another, Bai Qian-chun's long eyelashes trembled, then she walked towards the end of the street. She started checking from the end. Compared to Ye Yang and Leng Xiao, 2 people who had not yet started practicing ancient martial arts again, Bai Qian-chun entered the courtyard much more easily. He climbed over the high wall with a single move of Qinggong. The owner of this relatively spacious courtyard has been well organized. 2 plots of land have been cultivated on both sides of the wall, probably for growing vegetables and other things. Why is it approximate? Because everything planted on the 2 plots of land has been eaten away, and only the roots can be seen clearly. The kohlrabi star spirit must have chewed it up and stopped running away. It's not difficult to find Qiankayang's small courtyard. In addition to the medicinal materials shop in Zhenlong City, Qiankayang and she have the largest collection of medicinal materials. The kohlrabi star spirit came to her pharmacy and bought those medicines. There was no trace of the medicinal herbs left, so he must have been to Qiankayang's medicinal herb shop. It's a pity that she hasn't seen this kohlrabi star spirit since eating its lunch. She asked Ye Yang Leng Xiao directly for dinner. Now it is probably full of food and drink, and it has gone to sleep happily. Bai Qian-chun was thinking as she walked slowly into the 2-story building in the yard. The door of the building was open, and she could enter completely unimpeded. Unfortunately, this was not the Qingshan courtyard she was looking for. But her final harvest was good, as she found 3 large baskets of bacon in the basement of the courtyard. Yes, it's okay to keep it in Longzhen City. You might as well take it out to add meat and vegetables to the star citizens. With this in mind, she loaded the 3 large baskets of bacon into the new space, and then climbed over the wall to the small courtyard next door. The owner of the small courtyard next door is probably very close to the owner of the small courtyard just now. He also stocked the same style of bacon, and the quantity was larger, packed in 3 large baskets. In addition to bacon, there were also air-dried chicken and air-dried duck hanging at the door. Bai Qian-chun thought about it and put it into the space button. But there was too much meat, and the space didn't keep it fresh, so she planned to pick out some of the bacon and air-dried chicken and air-dried duck to take out, and then find a house close to the city gate to store the other part. Time stands still in Zhenlong City, which is a natural storage bank for them. I just don't know if time can stop if I bring things in from Jupiter. If it can, that would be great. This place can be used as a natural granary or a warehouse for keeping fruits and vegetables fresh. Bai Qian-chun continued his efforts and ransacked 2 small courtyards one after another. She might have really fallen into the pile of bacon and game. The next 2 houses were the same as the previous 2 small courtyards. The basements of the houses were filled with all kinds of meat, such as bacon, dried meat, large sausages, etc. The 4th household is probably a butcher's family. There is still a large wild boar that has just been slaughtered in the yard. The head and legs of the wild boar have been divided, and there is still a huge wild boar body that has not been cut into pieces. Bai Qian-chun followed the essence of the search and got the wild boar out, then said he would exchange it with tourists. Anyway, there are so many large and small wild stars in the interstellar world, and not all beasts are registered. Although wild boar is not an interstellar product, it doesn't matter. The meat can be eaten. Until she arrived at the fifth household's small courtyard, Bai Qianchun originally thought she could harvest a lot of sausages and bacon, but she didn't expect that this small courtyard was different. Not only was the land and flower beds in the small courtyard not used as well as the previous 4 households, and weeds are growing wildly. When I walked into the room, smelly shoes, socks, and clothes and pants were all thrown around randomly. There were messy chicken bones and duck bones on the table in the living room, and the few side dishes placed there seemed to have been scratched by something. Some are still on the plate, and some have flown to the edge of the plate and the table. There is also a jar of wine from the winery and a large bowl filled with wine on the table. Smelling the faint aroma of wine, if I guessed correctly, this should be the most expensive wine in Zhenlongqing Winery, Yuqiangjiang. It is said that a small pot is worth $1,000, but here is a big jar. Bai Qianchun frowned in disgust. The owner of this small courtyard was quite wealthy, but she was really indifferent to the dirty and messy environment. She walked over and stuffed most of the remaining jar of jade wine and wooden plugs back with her. After that, she was about to leave, but she stopped when she saw a training uniform behind the sofa that symbolized the Bai Martial Arts Hall. The Bai Martial Arts School is one of the 3 largest forces in Dragon Suppression City that she mentioned before. Their martial arts school is famous for its body training techniques and intimidates the ancient martial arts world. The exercise technique, as its name suggests, is an external skill for exercising and tempering the body. However, with just such an external skill, one can open a martial arts gym for a major force in the ancient martial arts world, and it can also become one of the 3 major forces. 1. You can see how powerful this technique is. The strongest person in the martial arts gym is their gym leader Wang Baxian. He has mastered the body training technique to the extreme. Even if someone hits his copper skin and iron bones with a gun for a whole day, he will only be able to scratch him a little bit. Small oily skin. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 243. So Bai Qianchun was also very interested in this bodybuilding technique at first, but before she could figure out how to borrow the bodybuilding technique for a look, someone visited the Bai Martial Arts Hall first. That man is still a well-known thief in the ancient martial arts world. He claims that there is nothing he can't steal. Bai Qianchun had never dealt with this thief, and had only heard about it from other people in Zhenlong City. However, such a famous thief couldn't steal any bodybuilding techniques after visiting the Bai Martial Arts Hall overnight. Said he was beaten and seriously injured. Although he escaped by chance in the end, the owner of the hall, Wang Baxian, did not intend to let him go. He issued a pursuit mission in public. The reward was quite high, and Wang Baxian also believed that even if he could not catch anyone, he would be killed. With a domineering style that would drive people to death, he yelled at the thief at the entrance of the martial arts school and cursed him to death, and claimed that he had placed the bodybuilding formula in a secret place where no one could find it. After this incident, the Bai Martial Arts Hall increased the number of night patrols. The burly men stared at each other, and the guards were very tight. When Bai Qianchun saw this, he gave up the idea of borrowing the bodybuilding technique to have a look. Later, she was busy refining medicine to make money, and this matter was gradually forgotten by her. And now, doesn't the training uniform with the name Wang Baxian embroidered behind the sofa prove that this is where Wang Baxian lives? She remembered that Wang Baxian still had a splendid residence in the most prosperous area in the center of the city. No one outside knew about this hidden courtyard. Bai Qianchun's heart moved. Could it be that the bodybuilding technique was hidden by Wang Baxian in this small courtyard? So she left without any hurry. She raised her eyebrows and started rummaging around the house. If there wasn't any in the house, she started knocking on the wall. Thanks to Yang, she was quite interested in searching for secret compartments. Finally, she found the secret compartment hiding the body forging technique on the bedside wall in the upstairs bedroom. Bai Qianchun looked at the bodybuilding formula sewn with a parchment scroll in his hand. The 3 words bodybuilding formula on the page were simple and thick, exuding a strong sense of intimidation. He knew at a glance that he had written this bodybuilding formula. The person is extremely powerful, and even the words reveal the powerful artistic conception of ancient martial arts. You can tell at a glance that this is a real bodybuilding secret book. Sure enough, a confident and domineering person like Wang Bassian would definitely keep things by his side, because he believed that the safest place was the one he personally guarded. Tisk. Now that Wang Bassianren is gone, this body training book has also fallen into her hands. It took no effort to obtain it. Sister Chun, I found Erbiang. I found Qian Kaiang's courtyard, and I also found the set of golden needles. She is indeed practicing secretly behind someone's back. Yang shouted excitedly in the yard next door, which was particularly clear in the silent dragon suppression city. Bai Qianchun's eyes suddenly lit up. He threw the bodybuilding technique he had just obtained into the space button, opened the bedroom window, stepped on it with his toes, and flew directly into the small courtyard next door. Yang was sticking his buttocks out, pushing the door of the courtyard, sticking his head out and shouting. Bai Qianchun glanced at him and twitched the corner of her mouth. Just as she moved her mouth to remind her, she heard Yang's excited voice again, Bing, you're here. Where's Sister Chun, why haven't you come here yet? What good things are you wearing? Yang stretched his neck and looked out hard. Leng Xiao, who was carrying a basket on his back and things hanging on both arms, walked over and happened to look at Bai Qianchun, who was already standing in the yard through the crack in the door. Leng Xiao. Yang was dissatisfied and muttered angrily to Leng Xiao outside the door, Erbiang, why are you looking at people through the crack in the door? No, when did I offend you again? Leng Xiao's dark pupils flashed slightly, and he glanced at Yang's face with disgust. Stupid. Yang was angry. Hey, why are you suddenly attacking me again? I provoked you. If you don't make it clear today, I won't help you wash the vegetables tomorrow. He opened the door, put the gold pin bag in his hand into his pocket, rolled up his sleeves and went out to argue with the people outside. Leng Xiao turned his eyes away, feeling that this man was too stupid to look at, so he said in disgust, look behind him. Yang didn't listen. Haha, you want to wait for me to turn my head and then sneak up on me, right? Let me tell you, I'm tired of this trick a long time ago, don't let me fall for it. Leng Xiao frowned, feeling that Yang had reached a new level of stupidity today. The corners of Bai Qianchun's lips turned up, and a smile appeared on her face. Erbiang is reminding you that I am behind you. Ah, Yang was startled by the sudden sound. He jumped up and twisted his body. He looked at Bai Qianchun in shock, and then he patted his beating heart hard. His eyes, she said sadly, Sister Chun, when did you come? Why don't you make any sound? You are lighter than a ghost. It's scary. Ahem, the smile on Bai Qianchun's face has not disappeared. You came a little earlier than Erbiang. You stuck your butt out and stretched your head to look out the door. Yang stared and his face turned red. He felt that Sister Chun was laughing at him, but there was no evidence. He snorted twice, but he didn't dare to confront the female devil like his Sister Chun, so he could only give in. Then he reached out and took out a bag of gold needles from his pocket and handed it over, trying to cover up his stupidity just now, and smiled flatteringly, Sister Chun, this is Qian Kaiang's bag of gold needles. I also found a lot of pharmaceutical tools in her pharmacy. Such as medicine pestles and the like. I have more collections than Sister Chun in your pharmacy, Do you need these things, Sister Chun? Bai Jian Chun raised her eyebrows, not surprised, but felt it was natural. Jian Qiang is different from her. She treats illnesses to make money, and makes pills and sells them all so that Zai Wutong can help more innocent people living in poverty. Naturally, she saves on pharmaceutical tools when she can. But Jian Qiang is an unscrupulous ancient doctor who has no medical ethics and only cares about money. Moreover, the money she earns is only for her own expenses. Isn't it right to use part of it to buy her favorite pharmaceutical tools to build her own pharmacy? Bai Jian Chun went to Jian Qiang's pharmacy without any psychological burden and collected everything inside. Even the medicine cabinet was moved away. Only then did she walk out of the small courtyard with satisfaction. What are you doing? Looking at the middle of the alley, Ye Yang and Leng Xiao were gathered around a pile of baskets filled with various kinds of bacon. She walked over and took a curious look at it, and asked, "Who are you competing in? Is there a lot of meat?" Ye Yang looked over aggrievedly. "Sister Chun, are we so childish in your eyes? Should we discuss using poles here or move them out directly?" Bai Jian Chun was silent for a moment, looking at the two of them with strange eyes. "Didn't I give you the space button?" Leng Xiao was stunned with a paralyzed face. Ye Yang was confused. "Ah, that seems to be the case. I was used to moving things around in Zhenlong City before, so I forgot about it. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs." Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 244. After leaving Zhenlong City, Bai Jian Chun parted ways with Ye Yang and Leng Xiao. She went to the Star Lord's mansion, but Ye Yang and Leng Xiao still lived in the village, so she naturally went in the direction of the village. In the dark night, the shadows of the trees were whirling, and the stars were shining with soft light. The two of them were still immersed in the exciting thoughts that the space button was so useful, and they no longer had to carry big and small bags to secretly carry things out. Sudden. Ah, 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 ah. In the gloomy giant forest, several shrill howls of ghosts and wolves were suddenly heard from a distance, frightening the two people walking in the forest to stop in their tracks and their whole bodies to tremble. Ye Yang quickly stopped his excited giggle and shrank to Leng Xiao's side. He looked around with a pair of dark eyes warily. "What's the sound? Why is it so similar to the screams of Nangui and the others in the white mist? Hey, we were crying, some people were crying. Could it be that someone broke into Longzhen City again, right?" Leng Xiao squinted his eyes and looked in the direction of the village, then pushed Ye Yang, who was holding his clothes, out in disgust. "The direction is wrong, it came from the other side of the village. As for the sound of ghosts crying and wolves howling, you yourself before, have you forgotten what you did?" "What did I do?" Ye Yang scratched his head and thought about it, then his eyes suddenly lit up. He slapped his thigh and shouted, "Yes, I gave a few toys to that idiot Bai Chenjun. Ha ha ha, count the time now, it's really the time for him to go out and do bad things as promised. He, it's time. This kid really can't sit still, and he is holding back his bad intentions at night to cause trouble for Du Le. Let's go back to Du Le quickly. He owes me a favor." Ye Yang jumped up excitedly, grabbed Leng Xiao and walked toward the village with great vigor. Leng Xiao reached out her hand in disgust and took his wrist to move his hand away. "Don't keep pulling on my clothes, they are all wrinkled by you." He, Being, you are too particular. It's just a little wrinkled, and it's not torn. Anyway, you have to change it tonight. After washing it, it will be a neat and good piece of clothing again tomorrow. Hiss dash. The atmosphere in the woods was silent for 2 seconds, and then Ye Yang jumped up on the spot with a cry, jumping several meters away. "I didn't mean it, listen to my excuses, listen to my explanation. Oh, don't burn my butt, my ass is going to be burned by you. Tonight is another lively night." Bai Jian Chun raised the corners of her mouth slightly as she listened to the noise coming from the wind. Then she jumped up onto the treetop lightly and used her Qinggong skills to quickly head towards the Star Lord's mansion. Inside the Star-Lord's mansion, the outer circle was still gloomy and densely populated with plants. Only a two-story building lit up with a warm orange light, like a guiding light. There was a crackling sound, and the camera turned to the yard in front of the small building. I saw a pile of bonfires piled high, the scorching firelight jumping happily, and the air was exuding a strong fragrance of chestnuts. There was a deck chair beside the bonfire, and Fenyuyu's long, slender legs were crossed casually. He was holding a big chestnut as big as his head and peeling it with a frown. It was supposed to be a leisurely late-night snack time, but the chestnut was a bit too big for him to handle with one hand, and it was not very easy to peel the chestnut while lying down. The chestnut has grown in size and its shell has become harder. Fenyuyu clicked his tongue in annoyance, folded his long legs, and sat up. Then he took out a small table that was flush with the recliner and placed it in front of him, and put the chestnuts on the small table. He moved his body over and sat upright, pressing a big chestnut with one big hand, and using his other hand to conjure a longer knife that was larger than usual when eating Western food. He frowned and his eyes were serious, as if cutting the knife started to cut through the gaping hole in the middle like a watermelon. Cutting once horizontally and once vertically, the metal power is much easier to use than ordinary knives. With two knives, even hard chestnut shells are no problem. After successfully dividing the chestnut into 4 parts, the light yellow chestnut meat with neat knife marks was revealed, and the strong fragrance of chestnut in the air became more and more attractive. Fenyuyu's pair of peach blossom eyes stared closely at the chestnut flesh exposed after the 4 petals bloomed inside. He raised his chin slightly, and his sexy Adam's apple rolled twice. Then he took out 2 more large plates, the golden table knife in his hand turned into a spoon, and began to dig into the chestnuts that were divided into 4 parts but were still quite large. When Bai Qianchun came over, she saw the man taking out the meat with a spoon in an inelegant manner. This was the first time she had seen such a strange way of eating chestnuts. That's surprising. Fenyuyu noticed someone approaching and looked up slowly. When he saw the slender figure walking slowly under the bonfire, his peach blossom eyes that reflected the firelight suddenly lit up. The irritability lingering in my heart dissipated in an instant. "You're back." With a slightly hoarse voice, he couldn't hide his joy. But as soon as the voice came out, Fenyuyu shut up in annoyance, wishing to slap his own mouth. Why was he so excited? He seemed to be looking forward to this woman's return. Bai Qianchun noticed his happy but suddenly annoyed expression, and raised her eyebrows suspiciously, but without asking any more questions, she walked over in a good mood and lowered her eyes to take a look at the results on his plate, eating chestnuts for late-night snack. Taste. How about it? It should be pretty good. You try it. Fenyuyu ignored his annoyance and subconsciously dissipated the power in his hand, reaching over to pick up the plate and hand it to Bai Qianchun who was standing. Thank you. Bai Qianchun raised the corners of her mouth and reached out to take it, but Fenyuyu's hand that was stretched out into the air suddenly retracted. Wait a minute, this chestnut is too big. Let me cut it into smaller pieces for you. Then he saw a small table knife of normal size condensed in his hand once again. With a few swipes of the knife, he smoothly divided the chestnuts on the plate into small pieces, suitable for girls to eat without lipstick on them. Kind. Although Bai Qianchun didn't wear lipstick, she still felt that this bitch man was not a bitch tonight and was quite attentive. The attentive man took out a small silver fork from the space and placed it next to the plate, and then handed the plate over again. Bai Qianchun took the plate and poked a small piece of chestnut meat with a small fork. The roasted chestnut meat was pink, glutinous and sweet. With such a fork, a small piece fell in the air. Bai Qianchun caught it with the plate in time. Then quickly put the remaining chestnut meat on the fork into your mouth. Yeah, it's delicious and fragrant. Her eyes narrowed slightly, showing her good mood. Fenyuyu also breathed a sigh of relief subconsciously, her thin lips curved slightly, and she continued to pick out chestnuts in a very good mood. She didn't even ask the question she was holding back in her heart about where she had been, and she was proactive. He asked, "Do you still need to take pills at night?" Bai Qian-chun nodded, "Of course, it's not too late now." Fen Yuyu said, "Then I'll help." Good. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lan Shan Luzi. Chapter 245. In the morning of Muyuangxing, the air is fresh, coupled with the greenery. People have to sigh that this is definitely a natural oxygen bar, a good place for recuperation and leisure. However, no one had time to enjoy the beautiful morning scenery at this moment. Instead, small groups gathered in small groups under the shade of the trees outside the village, chatting lively. Of course, the liveliest thing is the group of noble ladies in Puyi. They are not very old, and they are all little girls who love lively and gossip. Since they let themselves go yesterday, they can no longer hold the airs of noble ladies today. Still inheriting the joy of letting themselves go yesterday, everyone is chattering. Did you hear it last night? It seemed like there was a ghost crying in the woods. It was so scary. When everyone was quite happy, a pretty lady suddenly said with a troubled expression. Another noble lady quickly answered with a strange expression, "So you heard it too?" I thought I was dreaming, but when I really woke up and listened, the sound disappeared. Hey, your sleep quality is good. When you wake up, the sound disappears, which makes me miserable. I heard it from beginning to end, and I feel that the crying is not far away from my tree house. Alas, you guys think that this Muyuan star has been deserted for so long, so there won't be any weird things. I heard a ghost crying the night before yesterday. It was a female ghost. Last night it was a group of male ghosts. If there is another ghost tonight, if the ghost cries, I won't dare sleep in the tree house. Female ghost Puyi. Yes, she was the one who cried the night before yesterday. She was frightened into tears by the fake couple who had a tacit understanding with each other. She originally thought that this matter was just revealed and no one noticed it. To think that someone actually heard it? Puyi twitched the corners of her lips and smiled. No, she absolutely could not admit that she was that female ghost. As long as she doesn't admit it, no one can expose her. She saw the opportunity and spoke softly, "Zyro, if you are scared tonight, you can come and sleep with me." Zyro's eyes lit up with excitement. "Wow, Puyi, you are such a good person. I will never call you a stingy person again." Puyi's smile froze. What, this girl even scolded her? No, she doesn't welcome Zyro to live with her now. The big-faced Tao next to her looked over with vigilance, her eyes focused on Zyro's face, and she asked suspiciously, "Are you so brave? Didn't you enjoy watching the horror movie last time?" "Oh, I know, you must have pretended to be scared on purpose, and then slept with Puyi's orphaned daughter, and took the opportunity to act coquettishly and ask her how many more whitening pills and beauty pills you should take, right?" The big-faced Tao stared at her with a determined look that said, "I've seen through you, stop pretending." Puyi on the side was a little convinced, and she immediately became vigilant. "Is this true, Zyro? Are you really coveting my pills?" The other noble ladies around also looked over, with expressions of regret and "Why didn't I think of that?" Zyro, who was really a little scared but also wanted to go along with the flow. She smiled coyly and said dryly, how is it possible? I definitely don't covet Puyi's beauty pills and whitening pills. I plan to buy them myself today." Big-faced Tao snorted, "No way, you definitely can't buy it today. Today's reservation belongs to me. I love beauty pills." Zyro and the other ladies were unconvinced. "You are bound to win. We are also determined to book the venue. When the time comes, we will compete to see who can grab it faster." The big-faced Peach was fearless, and she had practiced running quickly. She put her hands on her hips, raised her chin, and said proudly and arrogantly, you will definitely not be able to catch me. Give up. Now call me good sister. I will be merciful and give one to each of you like Puyi after booking the venue. Tisk, we still don't know who will win, so don't be arrogant. That's right, my legs are so long, I can definitely run faster than you. Haha. I wore the most comfortable pair of running shoes today, and I will definitely run the fastest. A group of noble ladies began to quarrel over who could run the fastest. How childish! A young aristocratic young man dressed in a very slutty manner under the tree next door made a sound of disgust, then withdrew his gaze, and looked at the people sitting slumped on the roots of the tree with novelty in his eyes. The brother with an ugly face and pale eyes. He laughed happily in his heart, but asked with a fake look on his face, "Brother Chinjun, what did you do last night? Why do you look so low-spirited early this morning, as if you were hit by something? It looks like it has been ravaged, and you probably haven't changed your clothes yet. Why don't you go back and take a rest?" Bai Chinjun and several other dudes immediately looked horrified and shook their heads like rattles. No, 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 no need to rest, we don't want to rest. Then go back and wash your face so you can wake up. Bai Chinjun and others shook their heads again and shouted in panic, "No, no, no." Meng Xiu's delicate face immediately became dissatisfied, and he pretended to be angry and said, "This won't work, and that won't work either. What on earth do you want? Do you know that you are very unnoble and rude like this? Thank you for that. In order to meet some of you like-minded brothers, I got ready early this morning before the battleship docked at Jupiter, and I even wore one of my favorite suits. And Huajie is my best brother. I originally planned to introduce him to you. He is the confirmed next successor of Tu Yuan Star and the future master of the 5th Legion. But you are like this now. Will make my good brother Huajie doubt my vision of making friends. Heir to Earth Source Star. Bai Chinjun, who had not slept all night because of the fright last night, finally came to his senses in a daze, and he suddenly became excited. The Tu Yuan star is also an inherited origin star and has been controlled by the Hua family for a long time. The Hua family is a secretive family. They own the origin star and have legions, but they have never participated in the main star disputes. They keep to themselves on the Earth origin star. They have the same essence as Earth. They are simple and thick, and have no cunning ideas. This has been the case for almost generations. As for the family, the Hua family and the Feng family have similar patterns. There are very few direct descendants. Each generation of Tu Yuan Star Lord almost only marries one wife to ensure the stability of the heir. The current Tu Yuan Star Master Hua Shi only has 3 sons, but the only one who appears in everyone's field of vision is the heir Huajie. Huajie is 21 years old and studying at the first military academy of the empire. He also inherited the temperament of his family elders and is not shy. Secretive, low-key, and restrained, there is almost no news about him in the empire. As for his 2 younger brothers, they are completely uncompetitive compared to him now, because one younger brother is only 8 years old and the other is still breastfeeding. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luziy. Chapter 246. Bai Chinjun remembered his father's instructions. He didn't ask his stupid brain to make more progress, but only asked him to make more capable friends, so that even if something happened to him in the future, someone would be able to take advantage of him. Of course, these capable friends refer to the kind of powerful friends with planets and legions. Huajie, the heir to Tu Yuan Star, was one of the friends his father arranged for him to make. However, because of the special low-key nature of the Hua family, Huajie's importance was lowered. But think about the people at the top of the list that his father arranged for him: Feng Yuyu, the young lord of the Feng family, Huo Quanchang, the first civilian marshal, Qin Yurun, the fourth prince, a group of high-quality brothers from the Sheng family, and Li Heu, the upstart major general of the Li family. They are all ranked according to the ranking of the top male gods in the Huayao Empire. All of them have strong backgrounds and good family backgrounds, and their own abilities and methods are even more extraordinary. Are these people that a playboy like him can play around with? No matter how whimsical Bai Qianjun is, he knows that with his little ability, it is simply a fool's dream to make friends with these people, especially the young lord of the Feng family who was ranked first by his father. He has a pair of peach blossom eyes and a smile. A master who can cripple people he doesn't like. Bai Qianjun doesn't dare to force himself to be friends with people even for his own sake. So after all the calculations, he chose Huajie, who was low-key and had a good temper, as the starting point, so as not to let his father find out that he didn't make friends seriously and deduct his pocket money. So when he was in the 8th Military Academy, he deliberately made friends with Meng Xiu from Tuyuan Star. It is said that the Meng family and the Hua family from Tuyuan Star are family friends. Meng Xiu came from the Meng family and should also have friendship with Huajie. Bai Qianjun was trying to control Meng Xiu. Xiu pulled him into their small group and then made friends with Huajie. Unexpectedly, that boy Meng Xiu is not an easy man to serve. Not only is he pampered, but he also dresses up like a peacock every day. He must have the best food and clothing. He also likes to show off and compare with them. As a result, these dudes started to pay attention to dressing up. The most important thing was that Meng Xiu refused Du Li's invitation because of that poor boy. This was humming unbearable for Bai Qianjun. So Du Li unfortunately became a thorn in Bai Qianjun's side. When Meng Xiu was not at the military academy, he was treated as a soft persimmon and kicked out of the 8th Military Academy. After that, Du Li disappeared, and sure enough, although Meng Xiu was angry for a few days, he still came together with a group of them, and now he also brought Huajie, whom he really wanted to make friends with. Bai Qianjun was pleasantly surprised, but what followed was panic, because it was so embarrassing that they were so frightened. Bai Qianjun quickly climbed up from the tree vine with his strong willpower, straightened his clothes, walked over with a tired smile on his face, and decided that no matter what, he had to get a sense of familiarity first. However, he saw Huajie's innocent face with red lips and white teeth frowning in displeasure, and she glanced at his face with disgust. Then he looked back at Meng Xiu, pursed his lips and said loudly, "Is he the friend you made recently at the 8th Military Academy that you want to introduce to me?" Although these words did not directly say anything bad about Bai Qianjun, any normal person could hear the sarcasm in his words. Bai Qianjun's smiling face immediately turned dark. "Did you say that Huajie is low-key and has a good temper? This is just a sarcasm. Can he be a good-tempered person?" Ha ha ha! Meng Xiu laughed out loud, and the corners of his delicate face turned up. Then under Bai Qianjun's aggrieved eyes, his eyes that were crooked with laughter were gradually stained with disdain, and the smile at the corners of his mouth also changed. It turned into a bad smile. "Oh, how could it be them? I don't like to make friends with a group of bad guys who bully others. My real friend is Du Li, but he has been kicked out of the 8th Military Academy now. Listen to him. I have gone to work on Wuyuan planet. I haven't seen anyone yet. He should be working now. I will take you to find him after he finishes his work later." Bai Qianjun's eyes were about to burst and his face was extremely ugly. "You are kidding me." Huajie nodded with satisfaction, and his clean eyebrows relaxed. "That's pretty much it?" Meng Xiu smiled brightly, glanced at Bai Qianjun with disdain, and sneered in his heart. "This bitch really thinks he is an idiot. Although he is usually a bit more sociable and can talk to anyone and make superficial friends, this kid has not touched his bottom line before and he is willing to see it in the Bai family." They had a casual friendship with him, but he used various means to force Du Li to drop out of school, which touched Meng Xiu's bottom line. The chatting and laughing with them a few days ago was just to play with him. Only when his heart swells and then give him a head-on blow can he truly understand what humiliation is. Just like they did to Du Le. And he had already known that his real thoughts were with Hwaja through Baichanjun mentioning Hwaja in his ears, so he pulled Hwaja over to use him as a brick to humiliate them. Looking at Baichanjun's face that was so ashamed and angry, he was really happy. He would have to talk to Du Le later, well, it would be better to take a picture. However, he hadn't made any move yet, but Hwaja beside him took the first step and took a picture. His attitude was extremely arrogant and he specifically turned on his voice. Baichanjun glared over with a gloomy expression, "What are you doing?" Hwaja blinked and said in a bad tone, "Of course it's for taking pictures. Meng Xiu wants to take me to meet his new friends, so I always have to prepare some meeting gifts." Meng Xiu had already told him about Du Li's unreasonable disaster and was targeted, so Hwaja didn't like Baichanjun, who was bullying others, and he had deliberately cooperated with Meng Xiu just now. Meng Xiu's eyes lit up, "Well done. We are indeed good brothers who have a good understanding of each other. We have thought of everything together." Baichanjun on the side listened to the two of them singing together, his chest heaving violently and he was almost going crazy. His eyes that were red and bloodshot after not sleeping all night stared at him. "How dare you two bitches do this to me, Meng Xiu? Just wait for me, and when we get back to the 8th Military Academy, I will make you look good." Meng Xiu shrugged his shoulders and said indifferently, "I know that the 8th Military Academy is the headquarters of your Bai family. You dare to do dirty things like fabricating false evidence to drive students out. I don't dare to stay in that school any longer. So I dropped out of school, and now my withdrawal application has been approved. Next year I will go to the 1st Military Academy and go to the same school as my good brother Hwaja." Hwaja glanced at him appreciatively, "I told you not to go to an inferior school like the 8th Military Academy. The 7th Military Academy next door is 100 times better than him. If you want to get into the 1st Military Academy next year, it will be much harder than last year. The 1st Military Academy will start paying its own expenses tomorrow, and the difficulty of the exam will also increase. You need to read more books and arrange practical training. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs." Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 247. Meng Xiu wailed and muttered, "It's all my father's fault. It would have been great for me to go to the 1st Military Academy with you last year, but he forced me to go to the 8th Military Academy without letting me go." Hwaja comforted him, "Uncle is also concerned about you. There is a high chance that the 1st Military Academy will be forced to go to the battlefield by signs. You are the only child of the Meng family, and he doesn't want anything to happen to you. Meng Xiu, hey, this is also a sweet trouble. When can my father and my mother have another baby?" Seeing these two people who had just humiliated him and were now chatting with him as if they were nothing, Baichanjun was so angry that he gritted his silver teeth, his eyes were red and he wanted to rush forward and fight with them. But he was alone and weak. When the few friends under the tree saw him looking over, one or two of them avoided his sight, and no one dared to stand up. "Damn, what a bunch of bastards, not one of them is useful." Baichanjun cursed in his heart. Sure enough, his father's words made sense. When making friends, you should make friends with strong people. Those friends are useless. They only dare to follow you to bully others, eat and drink, but they don't dare to offend with you. People. After what happened today, he finally saw the true face of these bastards. In the end, Baichanjun still didn't have the courage to rush forward and fight Hwaja, so he could only watch the two men walk away with red eyes and frustration. After they left, the few friends under the tree dared to come out tremblingly, and surrounded Baichanjun fawningly. "Master Bai, don't be angry. I have my own reasons for this. My family has just ordered a ton of fertile soil from Tuyuan Star and is preparing to open a plantation. If I kill the heir of Tuyuan Star, Tuyuan Star will be destroyed. If the Yuan-Seeing side breaks the treaty, all our family's previous investment will be in vain, and my father will beat me to death. Yes, yes, my family also has some cooperation with the Meng family. Meng Xiu is the only child of the Meng family. His father regards him as his lifeblood. If Meng Xiu hurts a finger, my family's business will be completely ruined. Then even if Father Meng is cruel, he is also a werewolf. Uncle Bai also said that he wants to be friends with Hua Jie. If we really fight with them today, the Bai family and the Hua family might become enemies. Then it will be difficult for you, Mr. Bai, to explain to your father, so Mr. Bai, it's best if we endure this tone today. Several friends came to persuade him in turn, and the 10% of Bai Chenjun's anger was reduced by 30%. In the end, the 70% was not enough to support him to fight with others. In the end, Bai Chenjun could only grit his teeth and swallow it. His red bloodshot eyes looked at the people around him gloomily. Forget it, this matter has been revealed, but you have to help me buy the pills for Mu Yuan-Seeing today. I want to reserve the place. Her Royal Highness the Third Princess asked me to help her buy big healing pills, whitening pills, and beauty pills. Seeing that he really didn't intend to pursue the case, the friends immediately laughed happily, and then continued to cheer him up. Young Master Bai is worthy of being young Master Bai. He has won the favor of the Third Princess so quickly. Yes, yes, Her Royal Highness the Third Princess is the representative of the Royal Princess, and is the most favored princess by His Majesty. If Mr. Bai can really marry Her Highness the Third Princess, then the Bai family will definitely be one step closer. Her Royal Highness the Third Princess is well known for being a beauty. Bai Shayan is very blessed. Listening to these boasts, Bai Chenjun's gloomy mood completely dissipated, and his whole person began to feel happy. As the fragrance of the village wafts in, fewer and fewer people are under the shade of the trees outside the village, and they are flocking towards the village. This morning's breakfast consisted of 7 or 8 kinds of white fungus soup, soy milk, vegetarian vegetable chowder buns, fried dough sticks, shiitake mushrooms, and vegetarian meat, etc. It looked particularly rich. The steaming steamer opened, revealing the white and plump buns inside, which was particularly pleasing. People in line's eyes widened when they saw it, and they quickly went to line up with their plates in hand. Meng Xiu pulled Hua Jie and the two of them looked around in the team, smelling the fragrance wafting in the air, with expressions of enjoyment on their faces. You came to the right place, this time you came to the right place. It's just that the queue is too long. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have wasted my time with Bai Chenjun. It would have been better to wait until the meal was over before yelling at people. Meng Xiu and Hua Jie had expressions of regret, but they knew it was a pity that money couldn't buy it. Compared with these two people who had just arrived, they were not familiar with the situation and could not seize the opportunity. Others who had arrived a few days earlier were much more flexible. For example, the group of noble ladies who were chatting under the shade of the trees just now had already arrived. He sent the maid to queue up to buy breakfast. Now Shi Shiren walked over slowly, and the breakfast had been laid out by the maid. There is a big table full of everything, which is very convenient. The same goes for Bai Chenjun, who has a table prepared by his attendants. Yesterday they shared a table with Yumizusawa. Today, without Yumizusawa, they sat at a table by themselves. Even without any elders, they were quite happy. At this moment, Bai Chenjun, surrounded by several friends, walked in with great satisfaction. Seeing Meng Xiu and Hua Jie who were still crowded in the queue, he raised his feet and walked towards this direction with a malicious smile on his face. Aren't these Meng Xiu and Hua Xiao? Why didn't they bring them when they went out? The waiter came to queue up by himself. The queue is quite long. Why don't you come to my table and join us for a few bites? My waiter is considerate and always prepares a big table for us to eat. The rest can only be poured out. It's for the beasts to eat. If you two want to come over, You don't have to be cheap to those beasts today. Huajia and Mengxiu's faces turned dark. Damn, this piece of shit is comparing them to beasts. Huajia rolled up his sleeves, his innocent face was frowning, and his face was serious. He felt that today's fight must be fought. But then Du Li ran over with a happy face. He first glanced at Bai Chenjun warily. He had not forgotten that he was stabbed on the Shenjia starship. Bai Chenjun was the one who was most likely to pay to kill him. People. Then he looked at Mengxiu again, with a warm smile on his face. Mengxiu, you are here, is this brother Huajia you mentioned? Huajia rolled up his sleeves and looked towards him. Are you Du Li? Du Li opened his mouth with a smile on his slightly tanned face. It's me. Hey, come with me, I'll treat you to breakfast. I also have shrimp dumplings served by my staff here. It tastes good, it's particularly good. It was caught from the river on Wuyuan planet. It was the first batch of seafood to be revived on Wuyuan planet. Our chef personally identified the shrimps as extremely nutritious and delicious. However, the quantity is very small, only it's enough for the employees to share a few for themselves, but it's not for sale to the outside world. I specially stayed here to wait for you to try it together. Huajia put down his sleeves, glanced at Bai Chenjun provocatively, and said happily to Mengxiu, you are such a good friend. Mengxiu also raised the corner of his mouth proudly. That's when my vision got worse. Let's go and try the shrimp dumplings with Du Li. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lan Shan Luzi. Chapter 248. In a shaded corner of the square away from the crowd, there is a brand new square green wood table with a fresh fragrance. It is covered with tableware and a dazzling array of food. Ya Yang and Leng Xiao sat alone occupying one side, sniffing the aroma that drifted into their noses, and their stomachs growled unsatisfactorily. Ya Yang turned his face away, stretched his neck and couldn't help but look in the direction of the crowd, and murmured with desire, why hasn't that guy Du Li come back from looking for his two friends? My big steamed stuffed buns with mushrooms and vegetables are so fast it's cold. Leng Xiao also frowned, feeling a little anxious. He is also very serious about ingredients and food. This morning's breakfast must be eaten hot to be delicious, especially the shrimp dumplings. The shrimps in them are seafood. When the seafood is cold, it will have a bit more fishy smell, seriously affecting the taste of food. It's coming, Ya Yang suddenly shouted, looking at Du Li and two other unfamiliar faces walking towards the side from the crowd. He shouted excitedly. When the three of them walked quickly forward, Ya Yang muttered in dissatisfaction, Du Li, why are you here so slow? The buns are almost cold. Come on, sit down and eat quickly. After he finished speaking in a hurry, he didn't listen to Du Li's explanation. He turned around and greeted Huajia and Mengxiu warmly to sit down together. Hello brothers, come on, sit here, let's eat together, let's chat. Huajia and Mengxiu looked confused, smiled dryly and politely, and then sat down obediently following Ya Yang's instructions. There are only 4 seats on a square table, and there are now 5 people in total. Ya Yang took Du Li to sit on his side, while Huajia and Mengxiu sat next to each other. After the 5 people were seated, Ya Yang couldn't wait. He put a shrimp dumpling into everyone's empty bowl with a smile, then waved his chopsticks and said cheerfully, "Don't be stupid, eat, aren't you hungry?" The word hungry brought them back to the human world, and the atmosphere at the dinner table suddenly became calm. Hungry. Of course they are hungry. Even a slut like Mengxiu, who was hit by the waves of aroma when queuing just now, couldn't resist being aroused, and started to coo indecently. So he and Huajia looked at each other and said, "Don't worry about it, just eat first." Anyway, the other 3 people on the square table have already started to feast. Even Du Li is eating shrimp dumplings with a happy face at the moment. How can he have the time to care about them? Meng Xiu and Hua Jie picked up their chopsticks and quickly joined the ranks of eating hard. Well, it's so fresh. The taste of these shrimp dumplings is so delicious. Not only are the whole shrimps elastic and fresh, but there are also bits and pieces of delicious juice in the dumplings. Take a bite and the delicious juice will flow out, which makes your mouth full. Liu Xiang, I want to eat more after eating it. However, the quantity of shrimp dumplings is small, only 10 per plate, and each person can only get 2. After eating 2, they will be gone. Unfortunately, they can only switch to other breakfasts. After eating a few more large mushroom buns and filling their stomachs, a table of hungry guys had time to talk. As an enthusiastic and active person, Ye Yang first introduced himself and then helped introduce Leng Xiao, a silent and cold chef. Hua Jie and Meng Xiu did not bother Du Li, and both of them also introduced themselves. A guy came and introduced himself. Even after hearing that Hua Jie was the definite heir to Tuyuan star, Ye Yang and Leng Xiao didn't have much reaction. They still treated each other like ordinary friends. This meant that the harmonious atmosphere at the table had to continue. After the two parties got to know each other, Ye Yang disappeared. Breaking off the big buns, he looked at Du Li with a smile. Du Li, we went to your house to look for you last night, why weren't you there? Du Li raised his face from the soy milk bowl and looked at him suspiciously. Why did you come to me at night? I went to sleep in brother Yeqiang's house. What's wrong? He, of course something good happened. Ye Yang smiled mysteriously. Did you hear any crying last night, a particularly miserable one? Du Li nodded in confusion. I think I heard a few sounds, but brother Yeqiang's house is well soundproofed, so I heard it vaguely. I didn't hear it clearly. Why are you asking? Ye Yang shook his head and looked at him with regret. Then you've missed a good time to watch a good show. Du Li was confused when he heard this. What on earth did this boy want to express? Meng Xiu and Hua Jie also imitated Ye Yang in breaking off the buns, and slowed down. They listened carefully to Ye Yang's continued talk. They also wanted to know what the young man wanted to express. The crying in the middle of the night sounded very strange. There is a story to it. Sure enough, they heard Ye Yang chuckle and tell them the news that made them quite happy. I gave that idiot Bai Chenjun a few toys last night and let them cry and howl in the woods for most of the night. Do you think this show was exciting? It's a pity that we went to find you last night and couldn't find it. It was just me and Erbeing and I went to the theater. Du Li looked stunned, and then a feeling of regret really arose in his heart. Those arrogant guys in Bai Chenjun were crying like ghosts and wolves. It would be a pity to miss it. He sighed sadly. Hey, I was also afraid that they would come to trouble me because of their bad intentions, so I went to brother Yeqiang's house to spend the night. I didn't expect to miss this good show. Why didn't you two give it to me? Let me send a message. I will definitely see you when I send a message, or you can search more. I don't have many places to go on this Jupiter planet. If you search carefully, you will definitely find me. He looked at his two younger brothers with somewhat sad eyes, and the regret in his heart increased. Ye Yang smiled coquettishly, feeling a little guilty. I didn't expect that, and I don't know what the mental endurance of Bai Chenjun and those guys is like. What if it ends without crying for a while, so I'm not with Erbeing? What a waste of time. Hurry up and take a look. But Du Li, don't be too depressed. It's not impossible to see them make a fool of themselves. Erbeing and I recorded a video last night, and you can see it now. Du Li's eyes suddenly lit up and he came over excitedly. Come on, let me see, I've already seen those arrogant people with their nostrils in the sky making a fool of themselves. He is not a temperless person. He was bullied and kicked out of the military academy by Bai Chenjun before, and he was humiliated again on Wuyuan planet yesterday. Even a clay figure has to explode. By the way, I just met Bai Chenjun and a few others. Is their black eyes and shaky appearance due to last night? What on earth did you do? Huajia and Meng Xiu were also very curious. It turned out that the reason why Bai Chenjun and the others sat on the tree roots in the morning, slumped and panicked, had a reason, and the reason was with Du Le on the Muyuan planet. About two new friends, hey, why are they so happy? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luziy. Chapter 249. Everyone at the table, except Leng Xiao, looked at the shared video. Yang clicked with bright eyes, not even paying attention to the buns in their hands. Wow, your shooting skills are pretty good. You can clearly capture the movements of Bai Chenjun and the others that were so dark that they were scared to death, and the ugly expressions with tears and snot in their noses. That's awesome. Meng Xiu gave a thumbs up, and praised without hesitation with a smile on his lips. Yang raised his head and put on a stern expression as if he didn't recognize his relatives. That is, they are experts at hiding without being discovered. When they pick up Gu Wu in the future, they will definitely be able to take better and closer shots. Hey, what are those black shadows in the darkness? Are they scared to tears by these black shadows floating past? But it's really scary to think about the dark shadow suddenly floating out of the gloomy woods. Later, the black shadow chased Bai Chenjun and the others along with the shrill voice of the woman's smile. The rapid and heavy footsteps seemed to be like that. No wonder it scared Bai Chenjun and the other dudes like that. Even the few of them who were watching the movie felt it was a bit creepy. Yang happily explained beside him, that's a small mechanism I prepared, with some added sound effects. Those idiots Bai Chenjun must have done a lot of bad things, so they're afraid of ghosts knocking on the door in the middle of the night. He didn't expect them to howl for most of the night, and then they even fainted. Gee, it was so scary. After watching this video with gusto, they felt refreshed. However, the meeting gift that Huajia had just prepared was somewhat difficult to handle. But Meng Xiu is a non-committal person. He poked Huajia in the arm and asked him to send out the photo so that everyone could have fun together. This photo is a follow-up to last night's scene. It's time to take it out for real. It's time to. Because of the presence of Bai Chenjun, the relationship between Yang and Meng Xiu at the table improved by leaps and bounds, and soon they established a revolutionary friendship to watch a good show together. Out of care for his revolutionary comrades, Yang also revealed a piece of news to them: Nongui and others in the square will bring pills to sell in a while. If you want to buy them, don't leave in a hurry and go to the square, wait, so you can buy it as soon as possible. Du Le also nodded matter-of-factly. He was filled with tears of gratitude for Meng Xiu, a good friend who came thousands of miles to avenge him and even came to see him, so he reminded him sincerely, it's best to book the venue directly. The pills produced by the main product are all good. Yesterday, as soon as I pulled up the advertising banner, the store was booked. Those who didn't buy it later regretted it. Even if they wanted to pay 10 times the price, the people who reserved the store were unwilling to resell them, so if you buy it, you must seize the opportunity and don't let others fool you. Meng Xiu and Huajia didn't know how powerful it was, but it sounded like a very powerful pill. Although they didn't know any information about this, they believed that these two new friends and Du Le would not lie to them. They were not short of money, so they immediately decided to join in the fun. So after finishing the meal, the 5 people dispersed. Du Le and Yang Leng Xiao went back to work, while Meng Xiu and Huajia continued to stay in the square and walked in the direction Du Le had just pointed them to. Just like yesterday, Nongui led the 2 brothers to carry the rattan frame, but before they arrived, the advertising banner was discovered before they could even pull it up. Damn it, here they come, they are the same people who sold pills yesterday. Quick, quick, rush. I want to book the place, I want to book the place, don't drag me, my pills. Damn it, what insidious villain is pulling my pants? I'm going to put my words here today. Even if I give up my pants, I still want to reserve the place. You all get out of the way and let me do it. The strong men and the girls were all shouting at the top of their lungs. A group of tourists who were chatting, laughing, eating, and drinking together just now suddenly transformed into cruel runners, charging forward one by one with red eyes, accompanied by various stumbling blocks, playing tricks, and tearing of pants. It can be described as a group of demons dancing wildly, and the scene was once very spectacular. They dug out all the mud in the square. Their heads were dizzy from the rushing crowd. Meng Xiu and Hua Jie, who were squeezed out of the crowd in a few seconds, steadied their steps and glanced at each other, with helplessness in their eyes. This scene was much better than Du Li's. Talking to Ye Yang was even more intense. So why are the pills made by Star-Lord really so magical? It's their news that's lagging behind. Then the two of them rationally did not continue to join the crowd of people scrambling for the first place and continue to participate in the brawl. Ye Yang said that the people who bought the tickets liked to reserve the venue, and the two of them would not be able to catch up even if they chased after them. While the two of them have calmly accepted the result, a group of big-faced ladies have not given up yet. Every one of the girls' families are fighting harder and harder than the men for their beauty. Look at these 20 or so noble ladies. Except for the two who were unlucky enough to not squeeze in because they were too thin, the other 20 or so people rushed to the front of the crowd. Big-faced Tao used her wild tricks to catch anyone, and without any regard for morality, she took action against several competitors around her who were trying to surpass her. If it's a man, she'll scratch his waistband, if it's a woman, she'll scratch his face. Hey, she still doesn't believe that she can't defeat these competitors. As for her competitors, they also wanted to pull her waistband and scratch her face. The big-faced peach frowned and continued to rush forward without caring. She had taken great pains to reserve the venue today and wore a pair of good running shoelaces. After being wrapped around for more than 10 times, the running shoes will definitely not fall off if someone steps on them. The clothes I wear are made of the toughest material, linen, and they will not tear apart no matter how hard they are pulled. As for the waistband, ha. She just locked herself up with the iron chain. If she tried to pull her pants off, she would lose if they were pulled off. Finally, there is her face with no protective measures. The big-faced peach shows that she doesn't care. You scratch her as hard as you can. If she blinks, she loses. As long as she can get the reserved seat, her face will be scratched. What, if you take a few pills and you can recover as before and become more beautiful, then what are you afraid of? In the end, with her bravery and unique skills, she actually killed countless strong men and female companions, and became the first customer to come to the wooden cane shelf. Her eyes shone with surprise, and she didn't even dare to get angry. He gasped again and shouted quickly, "The room is reserved, the room is reserved, I'll cover all your pills." The shouts almost reached the sky, shocking all the competitors present, and pressed the ban button. Hey, no more, the reserved area was robbed. There was only one step away from the wooden cane frame. Several other people at the top were heartbroken. It was just a little bit short. It was just a little bit short. It was all because of this little girl's lack of martial ethics and her ability to pull men's belts. Where is the promised lady? I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lan Shan Lu Zy. Chapter 250. Bai Chenjun, one of the victims whose waistband was ripped off and his 2 white thighs were almost exposed, is now so gloomy that he is almost dripping with water. He is a grown man and has his pants taken off by a woman. This is definitely the shame of his life. What would the third princess think of him if she knew that she didn't grab the pills and was almost exposed in public? Bai Chenjun, who couldn't afford to lose this man, was so ashamed and angry that he stabbed the woman who called for a reservation with his eyes like knives. But as the winner, will the big-faced Tao ignore him? Of course not. In addition to Bai Qianjun, there were countless other defeated generals who were also looking at her with burning eyes. She couldn't understand it at all and simply ignored them. She knew that both of them were envious, naked envy. As a winner, she doesn't care about these defeated subordinates. After experiencing the initial shock, Nongui has now recovered. He is smiling from ear to ear. It seems that the propaganda yesterday has taken effect. Look at these people today, one or two of them are going crazy. He looked at the noble girl who had won the first audio reservation today, and his teeth were full of smiles. This noble lady's performance just now can be said to be amazing the whole audience. He could fit a whole big duck egg in his mouth when he opened it. He worked too hard to get their pills. I would be sorry if he didn't reserve the room for her. That all-out performance just now. Nong Geixi smiled politely and said, "Okay, madam, this batch of pills will be yours this morning. This batch is the same as the quantity sold yesterday. Each of the big healing pills, whitening pills, and beauty pills will be yours. There are 500 pills, please separate the account, transfer the star coins to me and write a note." After receiving Nongui's confirmation reply, the big-faced peach smiled and said, okay, I know this. Yesterday, I was watching the booking in Pui. I will transfer the money immediately. When will my pills be available? Got it? After the big-faced Tao quickly turned the star coins with her fingers, she stretched her neck and looked behind Nongui. At a glance, she saw several wooden boxes carrying the same style as yesterday coming over. Her eyes suddenly lit up. Hers, these are all hers. Upon seeing this, Nongui happily asked his brothers to carry the wooden box over and then handed it to Dalian Tao. The business was considered completed. A group of little sisters from Big-Faced Tao gathered around her, and the posture of holding the moon in their hearts changed from Puyi to Big-Faced Tao. The ladies who were cursing just now, saying Big-Faced Peach is shameless, Big-Faced Peach is sinister, etc., now all changed their faces, saying Sister Wenwen, beautiful, dignified, beautiful and gentle Sister Wenwen, each one's little mouth is sweet. None of the other competitors around him looked at it. Buletin Wen's big face made her whole body feel so comfortable after being slapped by these flatterers. Even the skin on her face that was scratched by nails no longer hurt. Her eyes were bent when she smiled. She waved her hand and said, "Today, sister, I am very happy. Just like Puyi, I will give each of you a beauty elixir and a whitening pill." All the ladies are disappointed, there is only one. But after Puyi's troubled life yesterday, they also knew that Buletin Wen was not a money-hungry owner either, and even the family power and wealth behind her was higher than that of Puyi, so they could only accept it as soon as it was good. Ceased activity and waited for the next rush sale so that they could make some money on their own. The victors are proud of themselves, while the losers around them can only wilt away. Bai Qianjun gritted his teeth in the crowd, pulled up his pants and strode after Buletin Wen. "Wait a minute, the lady in front of you, can you also sell me a few pills?" A group of little sisters stopped, and Buletin Wen turned around in surprise. She looked Bai Qianjun up and down. Oh, this slovenly boy with wrinkled clothes and crooked pants was one of her biggest competitors just now. First, he was so cruel just now that he pulled out bruises on her arms, and the scratches on her face were not caused by him, but he was the one who grabbed her hand first and then called her. The woman next to her had an opportunity. Haha, now it's time to beg her. The corners of Buletin Wen's mouth turned up. "Don't ask, it's just a grudge." She pretended not to remember and asked, "Who are you?" When the few dandies who came to join Bai Qianjun heard this, they immediately said loudly without any instructions, "This is Bai Qianjun, the eldest young master of the Bai family from Duke Bai's palace, and the only heir to the Bai family." They were all professionals when it came to reporting backgrounds, and one or two of the dandies raised their heads in disbelief. But this is not the 8th military academy that is under the control of Bai Zhuangquan and allows Bai Qingjun to do whatever he wants, and the noble girls in front of them are not from small families. Some of them are even born into noble families, but they have not got theirs at all. Be proud. Buletin Wen was born into one of the great nobles. She didn't like the young master of Duke Bai's palace at all. She even showed contempt on her face after hearing about Bai Qingjun's identity. Oh, it turns out it's that Juzan Duke Bai, the agent of Magpie Nest. What kind of heir is he? The future heir should also be the only eldest lady of the Bai family in Duke Bai's palace, so what does Bai Qingjun have to do with him? After checking their eyes, this kid was someone who could easily be offended, so Buletin Wen didn't show any mercy in his mocking words. He directly pulled off the faces of Bai Zhuangquan and Bai Qingjun, threw them to the ground and trampled them. Bai Qingjun had never been wronged like this since he moved into the Duke's mansion. His whole face turned pale with anger, and his expression was extremely ugly and gloomy. You. Buletin Wen smiled and crossed her arms. What's wrong with me? Why is it that young Master Bai still stutters? This is a big problem. He is indeed someone who occupies a magpie's nest. Things of low bloodline cannot be put on the stage. Bai Qingjun was so angry that he couldn't breathe, rolled his eyes, and almost fainted. The henchmen behind him quickly came over to support him, and then looked at Buletin Wen warily. It can be seen that this noble girl is a tough one. Even after Bai Qingjun's identity was exposed, she still dared to speak mercilessly. This shows that the power behind it is not small, and they dare not offend him. Buletin Wen glanced at Bai Qingjun with disgust. Let's go, this pretty boy is really a weakling. Sisters, please open your eyes and see clearly. You can't marry this man to anyone. His identity and reputation are not justified, and he won't say it. He himself is not very capable, but I just said a word and he got angry. His body is too weak and useless. Although his father is a man who can make ends meet, but with such a son, his family cannot be more prosperous. A few years, unless Bai Zhuangquan has another capable son. Wen Wen is right. I'll tell my father when I get back. I heard that the acting Duke of Duke Bai's mansion has been really helping Mr. Bai to see people recently. Fortunately, we met the real person here. Otherwise, what should I do if my father is obsessed with agreeing? I heard that the acting Duke is quite capable of deceiving people.